Welcome back to another episode of the In the Game interview series. Today we've got Eddie Villareal with us. Eddie's now with Florida West FC, was with GPS Florida West previously before your club merged, correct?
That is correct. Yes, how are you doing, Rick?
I'm doing very, very well. I appreciate you taking some time to talk with us today.
No, thank you for having us, and we're excited.
Yeah, for sure. Why don't you give us some of your background, your playing background, and kind of your steps through your coaching journey so far?
Okay, so I'm originally from Monterrey, Mexico. I was born and raised there. I first started playing baseball because my grandfather was a huge baseball player back in the day, where factories had their baseball team. So he was part of the coal mine, and so my father put me into the baseball program. And in Mexico, once you reach a certain age, there's no other path but either go professionally or go to school. So I decided to continue my studies, and in that transition I moved into the sport of soccer, or football for us. And I was a goalkeeper. Baseball players tend to be good goalkeepers. The hand-eye coordination helps a lot. And as I was getting more involved in the game, I started transitioning into the field. I was really fast. I had good vision of the field. I could see, my teammates moving into the spaces they were creating. So it was just, it came naturally. To find them, kind of like as I was playing baseball, I was just sending the ball to the first baseman. Well, because that guy is there free, so I send the ball. So I became a winger, a left winger. I was pretty good with both my left and my right feet, and it clicked. I was enjoying it. I was making a lot of friendships, of course, which was one of the reasons I liked the game. And as I started maturing in the game, then I started following teams at a higher level. So my grandfather took me to my first soccer game in Monterrey, which was the Tigres from the State University. And I just fell in love with the stadium. It's, when you go through the tunnel and then you see the field and you see the bleachers, and you just have this feeling. I'm just talking about it right now. My skin gets goosebumps, and it's just like, wow, I want to be a part of this in some way, shape, or form. So I started following Tigres, and in the international scope, we didn't have that much access in Mexico, but we did saw the Champions League. And one of the teams that I fell in love with was the Ajax from Holland. Oh, there you go. You got a little sign there. So there was this player that I just saw myself in him, because he was short, he was a left winger, he was good with the left, with the right. His name is Mark Overmars, and for me, I was like, I want to be him. This is the guy I'm gonna model myself to. And I started working. I started making those types of runs, making the 1v1s, creating spaces, making cuts for the strikers to finish the balls and things like this. And it just opened my way of life in different ways. So I pursued playing soccer. I went to college and high school. I played soccer back in Mexico, and then in the year 2004, I was already finished with some of my studies in Mexico, of my college. I transferred to the University of Southern Mississippi. In Southern Mississippi, they did not have a men's team. They only have a women's team, but they have what they call the clubs team. So I joined, and I was very excited. A lot of international students. So you had Brazilians, and you had people from all over the world, and you finally get that feeling of I'm in an international team, right? So couple of years that I was there, the club president graduated, and so the guys voted me in to be the president, because I was always there. So I was like, yeah, sure, I'll be the president, no problem, And it was very how to say, not unorganized, but very casual. It was very casual. You know, we were just gathering twice a week, get some kickball, you know, play some games, and then go home. And while that was happening, I was doing my bachelor's degree in political science, and then I graduated, and they offered me an assistantship to do my master's degree. So when that happened, the club team realized that I was still in the university. They told me, hey, well, why don't you continue being the president? And I was like, okay, but if we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this a little bit more structured. So there was this association, I think it's called the National Intramural Recreational League, and so we decided to sign into that to make it a little bit more official, and so that the university also saw that we were trying to have an objective to the club. It was not just to gather, which was important because, you know, we have all these international students coming, and a lot of them play the game, but there was no outlet for them to play. So I decided to go that route, make it a little bit more formal. In one of those trainings that we were having, the assistant coach of the women's team, Luis Perdomo, he was a good friend, you know, but I never really talked to him in depth about the game. He's an ex-professional from Honduras. He played for the national team of Honduras, so very knowledgeable guy. And he told me, hey man, you need to get coaching licenses. You know, the student body or the students of the club really listen to you. They look up to what you're doing. They're enjoying being here. I think it would be good for you to get one of these coaching courses, and that's where I started researching about the United States Soccer Federation, about the National Soccer Coaches Associations of America, now the USC, and I thought about it. You know, I'm like, no, this is not for me. I'm just here to study. I'm just gonna, you know, play the casual ball, and then. Well, at that time, I was already getting married with my fiance, and then I said, you know what, this might be an option for me to provide something in the future that can lead me somewhere. So I kid you not, I enrolled. They told me that all the how you say, the positions were, or the spots for the licenses were full, so I have to wait until the next cycle. So I waited for the next cycle, and by that, my wife was already pregnant. And the day that my daughter was born, that was the first day I took a coaching license course. And it was just like surreal, because it was like, I think it was meant to be that this was gonna be part of my life as I went on. So that's a little bit about my playing experience and how it transitioned me to become a coach.
Yeah. That's a crazy experience to think that your child was born the same day as you were in the coaching course, for sure.
Yep. It was the first time I told the guys, I don't know why I'm here. My daughter just born, but I feel that this is important. It was pretty cool.
The start of having a very understanding wife, I'm sure.
Yes. The good thing is that she doesn't really know anything about soccer, which is strange because she's European. She's from France. But, you know, for me, it's great because I can get to come home and not talk about soccer. You know, it takes me to another dimension.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's good to, obviously we're very immersed in the game, and we're constantly, you know, either coaching or working with our teams or thinking about how we can be more efficient or different ways to do things. I think it's great to make sure that you have that time away as well, to make sure you're able to recharge the batteries, so that way you're not just burning yourself out.
Yes, it helps a lot, for sure. Yeah.
So you talked about you got into your licensure stuff. What licenses do you have currently?
Okay, so yeah, then I just really took it serious. I went like, you know what, I think I can do, positive in life with this route of I would say soccer academia, because I had done my academia, did my bachelor's in political science, then I did a master in teaching foreign language. And in that conjunction of doing my master's of teaching and coaching, everything just became kind of like very interrelated. Like, well, if I'm going to be teaching languages, I'm going to be teaching soccer as well. So I started with what was the E license at the time, the E, and then the D. You could have done them in a weekend, and that was in the State Association of Mississippi. It was in Jackson, Mississippi. The director at that time was Terry Ejiowe. I still never could say his last name. He's from Nigeria, or somewhere from one of the cities there. Very nice guy, very knowledgeable, and he continued to talk to me about how much we can still grow the game. I'm bringing input to the current generation of soccer players that are growing in the States. So I did my first, the E and the D license, and then one of my passions is goalkeeping.
Yeah.
So the NSCAA was offering goalkeeping courses in the Gulf Coast, Mississippi, in the coast of Mississippi. And in there, I met one of the smartest guys that I've had the pleasure to learn from, which is Jason Newman. He's a very, very good person, very dynamic, very, very in love with the game, that he inspired me to love it at the same level. You sometimes you think that you love it, but then you see somebody else that takes it to this stage, and you're like, oh, yes, I should be feeling like this.
Yeah.
So it opened like a Pandora box of all the different ways you can see this game, and how can you relate it to life and job and multiple things. And I started taking the goalkeeping courses, and it takes three courses: the first level, second level, third level. And by the third level, I met Tony DeChico. And when I talked to Tony DeChico, he was now, he had already won the championships with the women's team in the Olympics. And it was just like, you're in a cloud. You're with the master of women's soccer in the United States. I mean, how is this possible? And the way he was so humble talking to me and to the rest of the people, it was just, again, it's those experiences that tell you this game is for everybody. Doesn't matter where you come from, doesn't matter how you think, how you believe. This game just puts everybody in the same place, surrounded by the same thing, which is a soccer ball. So, when I got the opportunity to meet him and to work with him, he invited me to be part of the goalkeeping staff for the NSCAA, because he wanted me to teach the courses in Spanish. Yeah. So I took the National Advance and all those other licenses, and then he motivated me to do that. Unfortunately, then I had to move, and I had change of jobs and change of address and state and things like that. So it became a little bit hard for me to accomplish that. And I told him it's gonna be a little bit complex, but I'll promise you that I will do my best. After that, I lost a little bit of contact with him, but I continued my route to the U.S. Soccer Federation, and I did my C license in Rome, Georgia. That was a very good group of guys. A lot of them right now are either head coaches or assistant coaches for Division 1s, Division 2s, 3s, and NAIAs. And you just start building the relationship. You start making yourself more known. You start making yourself more knowledgeable, and that's where I think my real career path began after that C license. I moved from Mississippi to Florida, and it's when I was no longer the player head coach, but now I'm a coach. This is where it starts, and it was good. It was I looked to a couple of clubs in the area, and there was one club who what caught me was not so much the club, but who was the director of coaching. He's a German professional, Robert Peltram. He came from Bayern Munich, and the Bayern Germany and Bayern has always been at the top of the soccer world. So I said, well, if I'm going to be following someone, it has to be the best. And I haven't regretted one minute. I talked to him at the phone, and we spent like 2 hours talking. And I said, yes, this is the person I want to have as a mentor. And then he motivated me to, hey, continue learning, continue growing. I'll help you in any way, shape, or form. And then he told me, you can also, why don't you go to Europe? Start learning a little bit more about how different the training sessions, the objectives, the mentality, the game, how it transpires in different parts of the world. So I applied to the UEFA license in Ireland, because I needed to do it in a place where they speak English. I tried to do it through Spain and France, but at that time they only wanted to select local coaches, which is very understandable, And so I applied through the Federation of Ireland, and they invited me, and I went. I took the courses. It took me 5 years, but I think it was a very well spent 5 years of learning, doing videos, making analysis, putting practice into the play into the practice, analyzing videos, getting into the next dimension of coaching, which I was not used to. I never analyzed videos. We were just going by the results. Hey, we got scored on this side now. Well, let's fix this side. I'm like, hey, we had like 20 shots on goal and none went in. Let's work on why that didn't go. So now, as all that education was beginning to build on, then now my structure as a coach started to get better. Yeah. And I did the B license with the United States Federation after those 5 years as well, and that's where I am right now. I'm looking forward now to hopefully getting into the A program and continue moving forward as a coach, as a professional.
That's awesome. I think one of the things you touched on really is like, obviously the coaching courses are great for the material and the things that you learn when we go through them, but it's also the relationships that you build while you're there and you're with the other coaches and getting to know each other. It's such a rewarding experience, not just from being able to walk out and say, I got this piece of paper that says I'm a better coach, but it's also, the relationships are one of the most important parts of our profession, I think.
So yes, it's one of those things that puts everything into perspective, puts everything into its place, and it's awesome because you get to also enjoy the successes of your peers or your colleagues, and like, oh, he's doing great, oh, now he's over here or she's doing that. It kind of brings you also a satisfaction because you learn from the same environment, so their success is also kind of like your success in a way.
Yeah.
Because you hope that at certain point you might have said something that they picked or that she picked, and they're like, oh, I like what he said, I like what she did, I like how they think about that, and then you just put it into your own, and it's a collective success, in my opinion. It's all about making everybody better.
Yeah. I think what were some of the major differences that you found between doing your licenses in Europe as opposed to the USSF and some USSF, USC.
Okay, so there are some differences. Things that I like about the NSCAA is that it's very coach friendly. So their focus is anybody who is interested, or at least in my opinion, everybody who is interested in the game is gonna learn here how to do it in a fun way, with a lot of activities, with a lot of different ways to see the same topic, you know, and not overwhelm you with the seriousness of the game, you know, because it's still a game. It has to be fun.
Yeah.
So I enjoy that a lot about the NSCAA. If you want to learn about a lot of games and a lot of activities, and that's one of the words that I learned. They in the NSCAA they were like, these are not drills. These are activities. We're not in the military. This has to be fun. This has to be something that the kids or the players, whoever you are coaching, understand that the objective is to have fun while learning. So I love that part. In the US Federation, I think it's more about the terminology. They want people to learn the right words to teach the game, which for me is very hard because you know, even though I've been in the US now for 15 years, I still say some things that my players go like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? And I'm like, well, you know, you grab the ball and you take the line. Yeah. What do you mean I take the line? Well, you know, you run with the ball close to the line so that you know pass. So in a certain way, the U.S. Federation has done, I think, a great way of putting the game into technical terms to make it very structured, very professionally oriented. You know, that if you want to become a professionist in this area, they're gonna show you all those terminology, the pathway, the structure, the way to analyze, and things like that. And then when I went to Europe, I think it's more like they already know, everybody knows the game. Now is how do you see the game from the big spectrum to the third section you want to address it, right? So now we're talking about dividing or splitting the game into areas where you want to work on. So I think for me that was kind of like the differences I saw from it. From all of them, I learned a lot. But I think the one in Europe, because of so many kids that are already born with the game and have done it in either in the streets or to school or family, friends, you know, they know that they know the game. Now let's polish, you know, all those doubts that you might have about how the game is played in certain areas. Then we'll show you how to make that analysis and make you a better, you know, guide for the players to make now your way of wanting them to play a reality, you know, and that's how I saw the big differences.
Yeah, I think that, you know, I've had a lot of my background has been in the United Soccer Coaches spectrum, just because, you know, I really got my start in coaching from being a college assistant, and obviously they do a lot to really support the college game here. So that's where most of my experience has been. Even though my first license was my D license, which I did when I was 17 years old, which is crazy to think about. But I could definitely, even just from going from my D license to my national and my advanced national and my other courses that I've done through United Soccer Coaching, I can definitely see exactly what you're talking about as far as like coach approach. And, you know, the D license has changed tremendously since when I took it. I mean, that was over 19 years ago. So crazy to think I've had a license for over half my life. Yeah, I can definitely see exactly what you're talking about, and that's, you know, a piece of my professional development that I look forward to getting back into and getting back into doing some of my licenses here over the next few years once we get back to normal.
Right. right. And one of the things that I also realized was also that at a certain point you cannot just be doing license after license after license, because then is when you realize that you're really not now putting all that information that you're gathering to create your your philosophy or your style, right? You want to make sure that you make that time and let the game go,
Yeah.
let it develop, let it grow, let it do whatever it has to do, and then after a couple of years then go back and see how, like as you say, now the D has changed so much as probably 10 years ago, and see how are those changes now impact your way of coaching, or what you didn't grasp before now you can grasp or understand it in a more mature way. And it's just fantastic how you can always learn from somebody. There's the knowledge is endless. I think it was one of those uh, quotes that I think is from Asimov, that says that you never stop learning. Education never stops. So I'm looking forward for whenever my next stage is, and seeing that what's gonna come out of that.
Yeah, for sure. So obviously, I've gotten to know you a little bit from coaching some of the older girls teams there. What are some of your roles in the club?
I'm sorry, what was the question? It got a little bit there.
So I've gotten to know you through coaching the older girls teams there in your club. What are some of your other roles there?
Okay, so I'm the goalkeeper director. So as I said, my passion for goalkeeping is still there. I just I like the feeling of being the hero as a goalkeeper is different than being the hero when you're the goal scorer. Because it's just that the goalkeeper, in my experience and in my opinion, goalkeepers have less opportunity to make mistakes. They have to be almost perfect all the time, which is a heavy thing to do for them. But it's at the same time that excitement that when you do make that save, you're like the king of the world. Try to get through me next time. And so I enjoy coaching the new generation of goalkeepers. The United States has always had very talented goalkeepers, and seeing the way the game has matured and progressed, now you can find so many kids that want to specialize in goalkeeping at an early age. I know there's a lot of still talks about have the kids rotate positions, especially in the youth, U8s, U9s, U10s, U11s. But one of the things that I've learned is that if you want to be a goalkeeper, don't take away that from the kid. If he tells you I'm a goalkeeper, he's a goalkeeper. That's something you cannot teach. You cannot teach somebody to want to be that thing. So I love that, because it's a unique position in the game. It's different than the other positions. They train differently, they play differently, they communicate differently. And in my opinion, they're the ones who are required to know all the positions of the field. They have to know them all. What does each player on the field do and cannot do, or should do and should not do? And it's kind of like a leadership role. And I've always, growing up in Mexico, have been taught that if you want to be a leader, you have to show it. You cannot just say I'm a leader. Now you have to show why. You have to do it with actions. You have to do it through work. You have to do it through learning and understanding, and that's how you gain the respect of your teammates, and your peers. And whenever I see a soccer team that has a goalkeeper with the captain armband, I'm like, yep, he's deserved it. He's deserved that armband. He's not just there for the show. So I do that. I specialize in the goalkeepers. I used to do the developmental academy a couple of years ago. I did both the boys and the girls when we were another club name, and I enjoyed that, because you also see, the aha moment of the kid. you know, when he's been struggling and struggling and struggling, and then all of a sudden he makes it, and he makes that face of realization, and he looks at you at the bench, and he's like, "Did you just see that, coach? I did it. Eh? How about that?"
Yeah.
And it's one of those feelings that you cannot put words to. You know, it's awesome. So I've been involved in every stage of the game. I've been from U8 to U19s. I've done the goalkeepers, and then I've also coached in the college game for Florida Gulf Coast University. I was the assistant goalkeeper coach there, and that's where you see the peak of what you've done, right? When you work with those that are gonna be the top, you know, and you see how some have been developed in a certain way, others have had a different style, others are making their own style, and that's where your professionalism of managing as a coach, you know, really comes into play in saying, I'm not going to change you as a goalkeeper, but I'm going to work with what you are, and then look at those flaws, look at those positives, and try to elevate you to the next stage. And when that does happen, you know, it's just a sensation of I'm doing the right job, you know, and it's fantastic. It's a great feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I train our goalkeepers at the school as well at the college, and you know, we have 3 goalkeepers on our roster right now, and it's very, very different goalkeepers in the way they play position. And I think what you're talking about there with, you know, I'm not going to teach who you are. You know, we can't. It would be dumb on my part as a coach to say I'm going to take all 3 of you and make you the same goalkeeper. You know, they all 3 have very much their own strengths and very much things that they need to work on, and they have their own ways of going about it. But we talk about the main points. You know, did you stop the ball? Did you hold the ball? Did we make the right decision? You know, those are our 3 big things that we talk about when we're going through training and games with our goals.
Yeah, I mean, the most important is, did you save the goal, right? Like, we can worry about techniques later,
Yeah.
but let's make sure first that ball doesn't go into the net. Of course, when we have the time and we have the analysis and we have the video on all these other things, then you go back to the, you know, basics of the goalkeeping. But ultimately, as long as the net's in 0, the coach is always going to be happy.
Sure.
Yeah. So I always tell my teams that the perfect score in soccer is 1-0. You only need to score 1 and don't get scored on. The rest, you know, we can make it happen.
Yeah, for sure. Can't lose with a shutout, for sure.
Exactly.
So what are, obviously it's a difficult kind of time that we're going through. What are some things that you're trying to do with your club goalkeepers while we're obviously not able to train out on the field?
So a couple of things that we've done through the club is we've joined into the, you know, online virtual coaching. Of course, we give them some we call them technical Thursdays. So every Thursday we send them some technical activity that they can do at home, or the new popular challenges, as they call them, right? So from our side of the goalkeeping, I just do very basic activities that they can do at home, even if they don't have someone to help them with, because I have to focus in the perspective that this is for everybody. This is not, you know, just for maybe someone who has a brother who can kick the ball with him, or a dad or a mom that is very active. No, I'm talking about, my videos have to be aimed, first of all, for all of them, from the U8 to the U19, which, you know, it's very different. Yeah. And for kids that might not have tools or items or equipment for them to accomplish this task. So you're talking about activities with a ball or without a ball, right? So we try to send them some type of workout, upper body, lower body, speed activities, ball handling techniques, hand-eye coordinations, a lot of stretching. Goalkeepers need to stretch a lot. So we try to do that. We also offered what we call analysis Saturday, something like this. So every Saturday we send them a piece of video that they have to analyze and answer some questions, related to the game. And then on Tuesdays and Thursday, we offer them, with our speed, agility, and quickness coach. He gives the live Zoom classes, which a lot of the players really love, because they get to talk to you or to him, and they get to talk to each other, and it just brings, the sense of community back into what the game is all about, that we're here as a team and we're trying to make everybody better. And it's been successful so far. I think we've offered a good amount of work. Again, we don't want to overload them. They're still in school. They're still doing so many other activities online, which again, once at the beginning, everybody like, yeah, let's do Zoom, let's do this. And now everybody like, okay, let's do Zoom. So it's like everything, right? So you once you get into a trend or a pattern, then now you start seeing who's really taking it seriously, who's taking it to the next level. And that's what you want to see, that this is no longer just about, keeping you engaged, but keeping you engaged for a purpose, which is we still developing soccer players. We still want you to become aware about the game, learn about the game, how to study about the game. And then all those things, hopefully, are going to be becoming habits of the player. And those positive habits are going to lead them to become, better players, and to, most important, to self-reflect. Because sometimes when especially here in Florida, that we can play all year long, sometimes I feel the players never have a break, and therefore never really appreciate all what that year of soccer has given them, because they're constantly going, now it's the summer league, and okay, now it's the summer league, and now it's August, now it begins the league again, and then now it's high school. So we technically play 12 months out of the year in Florida, and I feel that at a certain times it's like too much soccer, drowns the soccer.
Yeah.
And it's important for those players to also take a step back, see, view, okay, what did I learn this year? How much did I improve? How was I at the beginning of the year? How did I finish the end of the year? I took a break in the summer. Now I'm coming refreshed. Now there's like a line curve. I believe there's a curve, and you grow here at the beginning of the year, and then it flattens. But then if you never take that break in the summer, then you're just piling information to that curve. You need to tip a little bit to then now go again up here and go to the next stage, at least in my opinion. So I am, in a way, I think this break is going to help on that side. It's going to, make them a little bit more hungry for the game, maybe even miss some teammates that probably you wouldn't miss before. You're like, oh, I don't want to see this girl anymore. I see her in school, I see her in soccer, and I'm like, well, now you're not seeing each other. So, hopefully it's gonna provide very positive, environment for when we return.
Yeah, and I think, me as a coach, whether it's working with college and working with club, and used to work with ODP, and there weren't a lot of breaks in there, and it's definitely it's shown me how much when it's taken away that I miss it. And it's kind of the same thing that you're talking about. If you're still in it all the time, you don't really think. Obviously, I know that I love the game, and I know that it's what I want to do with my life. But having to take a step back and really not being able to be on the field, and not being able to be as involved with my teams, and all these other things, it's made me. It's almost like another family member. Like the family member's gone right now. So
Yep.
I think for me it's been extremely difficult, but at the same time it's been extremely valuable.
Right.
So you've talked a little bit. Obviously, the club kids are still getting plenty of you guys, and it's such a difficult balance as well because of online learning and all the other things that they have going on. You don't want them stuck in front of a computer screen all day. So I think it sounds like you guys have a pretty good balance about what you're doing there.
We try to keep it positive, and again, not overloading. It's one of those things that schoolwork is hard online, especially when some of these players. Let's not talk too much about the high school kids, because maybe they have the maturity to separate certain things, but those that are in middle school or in primary school, I mean, it's just so many things they're doing, and they're going, and then they cannot go outside of the house, and then stick them again into the screen, and now do the activity of this and the activity of that and the homeworks, and then it's just one of those situations where definitely you have to make it sure that it's balanced, that it's proper, that it's adequate for the kids. You want them to miss you, so that they come prepared again to the next stage, and it's going well. So as long as we don't see any negative effects of it, I think we're going to keep it into a way where we see them once every 3-4 days, and what we're asking from them is that they are also conscious about their own way of getting themselves ready, because at a certain point they shouldn't be only depending on us to tell them, hey, you need to get in shape. Yep. They should know that if they want to have a career or a path in soccer, they have to do the extra thing outside of home. 2 hours a week of soccer is not gonna make you Messi. I mean, you see Ronaldo, Messi, all these top players, to name a few, Mbappe, they stay and they work and they do what they feel that they need to work on, and one of the things I always tell to my goalkeepers is that the goalkeepers' physical energy is a lot, and they have to start learning when the body says, hey, I'm good. I don't need to continue with the warm-up, or I don't need to continue taking shots, or I don't need to continue going out for the crosses. I'm good. I'm set. My body is good. Now put me into the game. I'm ready. Put the second goalkeeper or the substitute for him or her to take shots, and just put me ready for the game. And some of them, or a couple of them that have gone play to the college, have told me, hey, you know what? I appreciate when you told me these things, because if not, I would have just stayed in the goal, and I get tired before the game even starts. I'm already, sweating. I cannot concentrate anymore. The game is long. So, it's important to get to know yourself as a player.
Yeah, I think that's an important lesson for all players to learn. You have to, and one of the things that I always ask players, and if they're dealing with injuries or anything like that, I always ask, obviously we speak with the trainer quite a bit, but I always ask, how are you feeling? I can't tell you how you feel. So if I want to put you in a game and you're not able to go, you have to be comfortable enough to tell me I can be effective for our team, and I'm putting myself in a position to get worse. And I think that's just a comfortability thing, and that's one of the first things when we try to bring our new players in and let them know that if physically you're not where you need to be, you have to tell us, even if you feel like you're letting us down, which obviously we want you to be able to perform, but if you can't, you have to.
Right. Yeah.
So, well, Eddie, we really appreciate you taking some time to talk with us today. It's obviously you're somebody that I consider a friend, and it's great to learn more about you and your experiences in the game.
Oh, thank you. Anytime, and I hope that you guys get some good news about getting the season going. No more delays, and good luck for the season. Try to make it good, make it happen.
Yes, sir. We'll do our best. We'll talk soon. Okay.
All right. Thank you.